the future of the neighborhood. After years of stops and starts, Wilton Manors is finally on the precipice of major redevelopment. In this week's SFGN, online now and on stands tomorrow, I look at the first major project, redevelopment of the Shops of Wilton Manor, or Alibi Plaza as it's commonly known, in the heart of the city's entertainment district. This coming Monday's Planning and Zoning Board meeting will make some make or break decisions and address the requests from the developer, and it's shaping up to be a packed house, with businesses and residents alike weighing in on the pros and cons of adding a parking garage and a 250-unit mixed residential building. Concerns about disruption during construction, adding a mid-rise structure to the skyline, and parking spot size will all be addressed. These are all valid and common concerns I've heard when covering development stories over the years. But what makes this unique is another concern, LGBTQ+ heritage. New housing brings new residents. And there's a good chance we will see an influx of heterosexual residents with straight businesses to follow. On its surface, that's fine. Wilton Manors welcomes everyone, and heterosexual and straight don't mean anti-LGBTQ+. But Alibi Plaza is the cultural heart of LGBTQ+ heritage in Wilton. Georgie's Alibi was the first gay business to successfully plant its flag. Many have followed to make Wilton the place it is today. A group of businesses has formed Wilton Drive Voice, and one of their goals is to set up programs to make sure the LGBTQ+ voice isn't lost to gentrification like what happened in Key West and South Beach. That's the fate of many traditional neighborhoods across the country. If Wilton is to remain the gayest place on earth, it will take a conscious effort. You can read more about what's at stake in this week's SFGN. And remember, the Planning and Zoning Board meeting is this Monday at 6 p.m. at City Hall. 6 p.m. Usually it's at 7. It's at 6 o'clock. So if you are interested in coming out, make note. It begins early because they're expecting a packed house. Yes. They're expecting lengthy public comments. And I am expecting a very thorough grilling of the developers as they go. Because once this is done, I'm pretty sure procedurally it will then move to the commission for a final vote.
Have you heard anything from the businesses presently there? Like, is anybody happy, sad, indifferent about this?
You know, no one's willing to go on the record, but a lot of people are talking to me, and they have very valid concerns. They don't want, like I said, the businesses formed Wilton Voice, and that is made up of Wilton Drive businesses. So it's not like the far-flung reaches of Andrews or Powerline. It's all the businesses right there, and they're taking a very active and very critical eye towards this development.
You know, I have to say, in full disclosure, Queer News Tonight is very active in this story. Mm-hmm. And at this moment, I will just say we're very active in this story. It's very disappointing to me that every door or phone that I call, oh yeah, I just talked to John Hayden at South Florida Gay News, but following right in John's footsteps. John, I'm curious, but we'll have a lot more on this, and I know John is going to do a great job with this story too. I'm curious from your work on it so far, what do you hear about the developers? Any particular comments that you're hearing?
Like, what are they asking?
Well, what they're asking for is they want to have smaller parking spaces than the city requires. And honestly, I am not a city planner, but I know that our Wilton Manor's parking spot sizes are significantly larger than Fort Lauderdale or Oakland Park, the neighboring cities to the thing. They also I think there's going to be some discussion about how far back off the road they have to be parking. A lot of it is very technical, but the debate, I sense, is going to be very emotional.
And back to the developer. The developer is based in Coconut Grove. Mm-hmm. This is
Miami.
This is the smallest project the developer has. I hear estimates that this project is $80 to $100 million. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about, for Wilton Manor, it's a gigantic project, and it's their smallest. What do you hear anything yet from city officials, business officials, critics of the product, cheering for the project? Do you hear anything?
I'll tell you, I have not talked to the developers or their representative. I have talked to people from a very wide spectrum of people who have skin in this game. And honestly, I can't get a read on a lot of people because they want Wilton Manors to grow. I mean, our population has grown like only 1,000 people, from 12,000 to 13,000 in like the last 15 years. So that's essentially zero growth. There's a new development that is getting ready to open on Andrews in Oakland Park.
That's the Ave.
Yes.
Yep.
And then there's over where the church burned down, the old church burned down on 26th Street, and across from there where the Holy Angels church is.
Yeah.
That's going to be torn down and go away. So this is the first one. But what makes this one unique is that it is the heart of Wilton Drive. And honestly, I do believe that the swing issue in this is going to be how will the developer take steps to preserve the spirit of what is Wilton Drive. And there's a chance they're going to come back and say, well, look, we're only redeveloping half the parcel, the front building that houses Alibi, front parcel that houses Hunter's Nightclub, Tap That Ash, and several other businesses in there. That building's not going anywhere. Now, can they survive while that's happening, while this construction is going on? Like, not even across the street,
Like right
across
there.
the parking
Next to
lot.
it, yeah.
Can they survive? That's another question. But don't be fooled by thinking that the developer is generous of heart and generous of spirit. They're not redeveloping that area right now because Hunters and Alibi have such long-term leases that it would be cost prohibitive. Even at a $180 million project, it would still be cost prohibitive to buy them out of their leases. So there's no real generosity going on here, or yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Are they trying to make Wilton like South Beach? I moved to South Beach, okay, many years ago because it was our gay area. It was where I felt that I could be me freely and unapologetically, right? Then you go back to South Beach now and it's not that way anymore.
Well, to answer your question, one of the major players that are affected by this construction project said, in direct comparison to what they watched happen in South Beach in the 90s into the new millennium, they said in an interview with me today, you remember the joke, last gay person out of South Beach, turn off the light? Wait, strike South Beach, insert Wilton Manors. That was said today by a major player. And so John, I think his reporting gets it an absolute bullseye. This meeting and the discussion of this construction and what happens next for Wilton Manors is really, really critically important. For a developer to come in and say, well, you know, we'll spend $80 to $100 million means that the city commission is starting to make the changes in density and city codes to allow a business. That the change of the height restriction of 4 stories to 8 stories makes this project possible. It would not be possible without that change. But the question will be, now that we have that change and a developer like this comes into Wilton Manors, what will happen to Wilton Manors and its positive effects and its negative effects? And there are both. There is no absolute winner and there's no absolute loser. So it's a question of where it lands in the middle and how that affects gentrification and how it affects LGBT.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.